come on up and ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. We are locked and loaded, son. Hey guys, how you going? So today on BKRsport, we're here as we're going to be going through Group C tonight. Now, we've obviously been through Group A and also Group B already. Now, Group A, actually, I'll show you in a second, but we went through England, France, Greece, and Samoa. That was done a couple of days ago. Yesterday, we went through Australia, Fiji, Italy, and Scotland's group, which is men's Group B. Today, guys, we're going to be covering Ireland, Jamaica, Lebanon, and New Zealand, which is Pool C, Group C here, which is a pretty understanding group. I think we all are very well aware kind of which teams are making it, which team aren't. However, it'll be interesting to obviously go through this Irish team because there is a couple of NRL talents there, and also the Super League is filtered throughout. So they might not be as bad as you think. Jamaica, I do have my concerns about, but as you guys do know, we will go through all the different teams. We'll do the analysis of who the players are. We'll say every single player that's there. And we're also going to get, actually, I'll do this right now. I want to get the best 17 of each team up as well. Because that works well. Because that works well. It's usually pretty good. Obviously, if you guys are new here, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new. And in the chat, obviously get involved. Let me know your thoughts. This isn't just a me thing. This is we all get to talk about it thing. I will go through my thoughts and my analysis, and then I'll obviously direct it to you guys in the chat. But I'm just going to quickly, while you guys are telling me what your thoughts are, I'm just going to quickly jump on here and get the best 17. So we've got, the first team we're going to go through tonight will probably be Lebanon, then we'll do Ireland, Jamaica, and then New Zealand. Obviously, New Zealand will be last because they're the best team in the group, and we save the best for last because it usually goes on for the longest. If you are just obviously tuning into this after the video has gone live, we will have timestamps for you so you can check out when we said something about each team. But actually, you know what? Let's just get into it. Let's just get into it here. Bang, let me just make sure that we are on. We are good to go. Now, let's click on over here. Bang. Alrighty. So you guys can see now where we are at. So like I said, yeah, this is a pretty easy group here for me to read in my personal opinion. We all know who's the top dog. We all do know as well who pretty much will filter through and who will get through that second position, third and fourth. Is a bit of a 50-50, but in the same sense, I'm pretty certain I know who is going to be getting that third position there. But let's get into our first team here, guys. Let's get into our first team. Our Shut Up says, where can we watch it? We will be streaming the Tonga game later on tonight. So we've got Tonga versus, who's Tonga playing tonight? Tonga playing France tonight in a World Cup warm-up match, which should be good there. Let me just refresh that for a second there, which should be interesting there. Hopefully it's a good game, but in the same sense, I do feel like Tonga's going to get a pretty good win in that one. We obviously did watch the Fiji game early this morning against England. Both teams had weaker teams out. England a lot more stronger than Fiji, though. Obviously, England won that game 50-0. So, yeah, look, I hope that tonight's a little bit better, but it's going to be a big stream regardless. So, definitely be here at 10:45 p.m. AEST for that one. 11:45 p.m. AE Muppet time. And then you go, I knew my chat was frozen. I couldn't see anything before. That's why I had to refresh it. I couldn't see anyone chatting. I was like, what's going on here, mate? What are you about to hear? Something crazy or something? What? But it's all good. We're sorted now. Master Stowe says New Zealand, no doubt. Zane Potter says, who voted for Jamaica to win the pool? They'll lose pretty much every game, 30 plus, even to Ireland. Probably, mate. Yeah, they'll probably lose by a decent amount for most games, especially New Zealand. God help them. Brandon says, hi, BKR. Seminole says New Zealand should pump them. Crazy New Zealand says, at least we should beat Ireland at something. Yeah, you can't beat them in rugby union, so you may as well be able to try and beat them at Jay. You may as well have to try and beat them here at the old rugby league. You should be getting this one pretty easily. But anyway, let's get into the first team here, and it is going to be the Lebanese. We're going to go to Lebanon here first, who is a pretty damn well good team. They've got a pretty strong lineup too. In comparison to, they're like a mid-ranger team. Like you consider them a similarity, I guess, with Papua New Guinea, is what I would say. Papua New Guinea and Lebanon would be on a similar tier. I do have Papua New Guinea being better because of the way they play. However, if you're talking about NRL talent, I'm pretty certain that Lebanon have more NRL specific talent. Oh, I've got to swap this over. Sorry, I was actually going over here and thinking you were already watching. There you go. But I'm pretty certain. Can we? Time leave IBNs out, please. So let's go and who are we getting to? Lebanon. Sorry, I've got some up and asking you to do a Kahoot right now, which is just, no, mate. But all right, so Lebanon. All right, so Jalal Bazal's from the West Illawarra. You got Adam Dewey from the Tigers. Actually, is this old? Because I'm pretty certain Dewey's not going to be there. Is this old? Let me go onto Instagram here. Let me go onto Instagram and see, because I remember last night we went through this, and there's a couple players that obviously weren't playing. for example, like a Wonga Blake, like a Corbin Sims, a Tarek Sims and whatnot, who were included but actually are not going to be there. Guys, to make Mouses 1, New Zealand 2, Lebanon 3, Ireland 4 for Jamaica. Alright, so let's go here to NRL and let's see if there is a team list here, because like I said, last night was a little bit all over the shop. We can technically read through it. We can read through it, but it's just like I just don't want to go through names that are just simply not going to be there, because it's a bit of a waste of time. Realistically, if you do that, all right, scrolling down now, got Papua New Guinea there, Tonga, the Kangaroos. This will be a way better way to look at it here. A way better way to look at it. Keep scrolling down. I think Lebanon was named a while ago, wasn't it? I hope so, because it still hasn't come through here. If it hasn't, then I'll just have to go through these team names that are on here, but. Overall, yeah, it's looking likely that it's just not going to be on here because there was so much to it with the NRL Grand Final and whatnot. All right, yeah, we'll just go based off of... We'll go based off of this list. 1 second here. We're going to go based off of this list over here. And then if you guys know there's a player not playing, let me know. But Jalawa Laz from the West Illawarra. You got Hannah El Nashar from the Penrith Panthers. Tufik El Haj from American University of Beirut. You got Eli El Zakem from the Parramatta Eels. You got Atif Hamdan from the Wolves in Lebanon. Kane Kalachi from the Newtown Jets. Andrew Kazi from the Western Suburbs Magpies. You go to Jacob Carraz from the Kendra Bulldogs. Good player, Jacob Carraz. Looking forward to seeing what he can do here on the world stage. Jacob Carraz really kind of burst into the scene this year for the Doggies. Obviously, Daz mate would love that bloke. But yeah, Carraz is a solid little player. Not the best player ever, but is a very good, basically debutant this year. Bilal Malbani from the Bucktown Workers Seagulls. I feel like he's been around for ages. Anthony Layun has been around for ages. St. Mary Saints. Josh Mansour from the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Wowee there. Josh Maurice from Wentworthville United. Tony Maroon from the Ryder Eastwood Hawks. Abbas Miski from the Wigan Warriors. You've got Brandon Morcus from the Canberra Raiders. You've got Mitchell Moses from the Parramatta Squeals, Jackson Rami from the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Khalil Rami from the Mount Pritchard Mounties, Khaled Rajab from the Canterbury Bulldogs. You've got Reece Robinson, who is unsigned right now. If you don't remember his name, he used to play for the Roosters and also the Cowboys a little bit, but mainly the Roosters was Reece Robinson, and was actually a pretty decent player in his time. He really was. He was actually not too bad of a player. But obviously, nowadays, he's gotten a little bit on the more agey side of things. Thank you very much to get my stomach in your mouth for the 7-month membership. Appreciate you, dude. Then you got Mikey Tenus from the West Tigers and Shabel Tassipali from the Newtown Jets. So the players that most people will recognise, obviously Adam Dewey, but I don't think he's playing. You'll definitely recognise Jacob Carraz from the Dogs. You'll recognise Josh Mansour from the Rabbitohs. Used to play with the Panthers. Has been out of favour with the Rabbitohs, though. For good reason. Mitchell Moses, obviously, you'll know in the 7 there, plays for the Eels. He does go missing in the big games, though, as we found out. Reece Robson, you should know if you're, a little bit of an older fan who remembers those kind of days. Now, let's go quickly have a little look-ski here at the best 17 that someone's put up here. Best Lebanon 17 World Cup. Let's type this little bad boy in here and see what people are saying here, so to give us a good idea about where they are looking. Likely here. Cedars, that's back in 7th of... I should have had this prepared, but the fact of the matter is it's just so hectic right now. It's so hectic. 2020 Rugby League. Because I just don't believe that Dewey's playing, is he? I just don't believe that Dewey is playing. 13th of September. Okay, here we go. So this one came out in 13th of September. This will be a really good shout here. Desmond says, Waratahs legend Reece Robson. Yeah, Robson did play for the Tars as well. He did. All right, here we go. So, because obviously you'd be looking at... Their backline might not be too bad, to be honest with you. Their backline may not be too bad. Oh, okay, cool. Head coach Michael Cheika has a number of exciting backline options. Oh, here we go. Let's go up here. Lebanon made their return to International Rugby League earlier this year, trumping Malta 30-14 at Belmore. Yes, but it wasn't that great of a result, but they took it. They definitely did take it over Malta there. The Seekers will kick their tournament off against heavyweights New Zealand in Warrington before facing... So they play in New Zealand first. Yikes. In Warrington before facing Ireland and Jamaica and Lee. At least you start off with a bang and then go bang, bang with 2 easy games. 2 must-win games they are to advance to the quarterfinals. Their clash with the Irish will likely decide which of the 2 advances beyond the group stage to set up a potential meeting with the tournament favourites Australia. Adam Dewey and Mitchell Moses expected... Oh, so Dewey is expected to line up. Okay, so you got Moses in the 7 and Dewey in the 6. It's not too bad there, actually. I thought Dewey was out for the World Cup because I know that Alex Tuala's out for the World Cup. He obviously did an injury earlier on the season, well early on the season. Adam Dewey goes in the 6th there. Moses will be the 7. So that's a good halves pairing, to be honest with you. Head coach Michael Chica has a number of exciting backline options to choose from, including South Sydney veteran Josh Mansour. He'll go to the wing. Canberra young gun Jacob Carraz. He'll go to the centres. Canberra teenager Brad Morcus and Wigan flaker Abbas Miski. So I'm assuming there that there's a centre. I'm assuming Morcus is maybe a centre and Abbas Miski is maybe a winger. 120 game NRL veteran Reece Robson line up on one wing for the Cedars. There you go. So it's probably actually going to be Reece Robson there. But it's just interesting because obviously he's not exactly a young bloke anymore. Combining a potential back five of Carraz, Mansour, Miski, Morcus, and Robinson with a halves pairing of Dewey and Moses is actually pretty good. It really is. It's actually pretty good. Well positioned with for a quarterfinals charge with lower graders Marbani, Tony Francis. Tony Francis. Is that Tony Francis as in Tony Francis from the Titans? Tony Francis? I don't. It's not got Tony Francis on this list here. Surely not. I'm not too sure. To be completely honest with you. I'm not too sure. Tony Francis there. Hooking options will include Blacktown Workers playmaker Adam Risk. He'll get the job. West Tigers youngster Michael Tunus and Canberra youngster Danny Guntus. But they usually go with Adam Risk there. He usually plays, and he did play that game against Malta earlier on this year. Chica will also have some decisions to make in his forward pack with the Tigers prop Alex Twal unavailable due to concussion. Expect the pack to be headed by James Romanos, who made his NRL debut for Manly in their final game of the season. Kane Kalachi, he's been around for ages. A Newtown prop who captained the Cedars to the Elias Phoenix Shield. And then Ellie Elzakem, an 80-minute New South Wales Cup edge forward for Parramatta. Charbel Tasipali, a New South back rower, and Dom Ayub, an Ipswich forward. So overall, guys, going through this here, it's not a bad team. It's a good back line. The forwards are where it's going to be lacking for me, especially when they're going to have to go against New Zealand. Ireland have some big forwards. I just want to throw this out there. Ireland do have a good forward pack, and Jimmy Jolla from the Titans, he'll be there. Ireland do have a solid forward pack. So this is going to be interesting to see where I predict them. I don't think I'm just going to guarantee straight up Lebanon as a second placer. I do think that they probably get it based off of my thoughts right now. But when we go through that Ireland team, you're going to find there is quite a few good players there as well. Jay Hayes says, in this group, who do you think will give the Kiwis a run for their money? Well, it's going to be either between Lebanon and Ireland. Jamaica's not going to do it. Jamaica's going to get pumped. And I think New Zealand will, probably put a few, backup players in that game. When I say backup players, you're talking guys that are pretty damn well good players, just obviously not their regular starters there for the people who don't understand that. It's going to be a pretty big walkover for most teams against Jamaica. But Lebanon, as you guys know, Mitchell Moses, Adam Dewey in that 6 and 7, plus the 9 is Adam Riss, who has experience there. And I think that maybe, who were they saying is their fullback? Who were they saying was their fullback here? Combining a potential back five of Carraz, Mansour, Miski, Morcus, and Robinson. Maybe it's Miski or Morcus, maybe, because I know Mansour and Robinson will be the wings. Carraz will be the centre. So it's either Miski or Morcus who goes to that fullback there. One of the two. Sport Reaction says Jamaica could have had Dom Young. Could have, but didn't. He played very well this morning. Very, very well. Very well. We'll talk about Ireland in a second, Sport Reactions. Disagree completely, Sport Reactions. Group D is a very good group, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to talking about that tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow's live stream. We're going to be talking about Group D. That's actually a really intriguing group for me. New Zealand should win this pretty easy. Jay says, Levi, you'll be camping there soon. Desmond says, Robinson can play fullback, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he can, but in the same sense, he did play as the winger when they played against Malta early on this year. So that's the only issue I find there. But yeah, that's the Lebanese team there. Not a bad team at all. Let's move on to the next one here, though. And we'll move on. We'll come back to obviously talking about them a little bit later, maybe. But obviously, guys, absolutely smack that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Like I said, do not forget, in about 3 hours' time, 2.5 hours' time, we're going to be going live for Tonga versus France in a warm-up there. So get excited for that one, because there's a heap of people waiting for that already. It's going to be a crazy game there. But all right, so back to men's Group C. We'll go with Ireland here. We'll go with Ireland here because at least it keeps the Lebanese and Irish together there, and it gives us a bit of a chance to talk about them both at a relatively similar time. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong one there. Clicking on the wrong one. Let's move up to here, and we'll go down to Ireland to read through their team lineup. Alrighty, so a lot of Super League talent here, and also some decent rugby NRL level talent as well. So James Bentley from Leeds, you got Keenan Brand from Lee, Liam Byrne from Wigan, Ed Chamberlain from Lee, you got Josh Cook from the Canterbury Bulldogs, Frankie Holton from Hull, James Hasson from the Rabbitohs, my boy Jimmy Jolla from the Gold Coast Titans, Luke Keary for the Roosters, really big half there, really not big in regards to size, but big in regards to quality there for Luke Keary. Joe Keys from Halifax. You got Toby King from Warrington, George King from Hull, Ben Madiul from Featherstone, James McDonald from Wigan, Ronan Michael from York, Robbie Mulhern from Warrington, Richie Myler from Leeds. You got Dan Norman from St Helens, Henry O'Kane from the West Tigers, Harry Rushton from the Huddersfield Giants, I think it is. Harry Rushton, I believe, came to Australia for a little bit. I think he might have gone to Canberra or something like that, and then might have gone back. I'm not too sure. Innes Senior from Huddersfield, Lewis Senior from Hull, and then you got Michael Ward from Batley. So that is the Irish team there. Let's go and have a look now at and see if this sporting base is where we're at. Let's go. Oh, no, we'll just go back onto Google and see if it comes up with here. So best Irish 17. Cecilia Halla, thank you very much for joining the BK Army. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Very appreciate you very much. Oh, Rugby League Best 17's Greece. Well, they've already done them. We've already done then. Big names represent Ireland, Rugby League World Cup. Kiri is in. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this will give us a good idea. TW says, remember Ireland versus Lebanon, the last World Cup was a good game. Yeah, well, they're very similar teams. Very similar teams, I guess. Ireland should be lesser, but I do think, as it says here, the Wolfhounds might be dark horses. Not to win the competition, but to actually go through in the second position. So do they have a predicted lineup here? I would say their predicted Ireland squad. Here we go. So Richie Marler will go fullback. You got Ed Chamberlain and Innes Senior on the wings. Toby King and Lewis Senior in the centres. Joe Keys 6, Luke Keary 7, Liam Byrne and Jimmy Jolliffe in the front row. Josh King in the number 9. Keenan Brand, James Bentley back row. It's good. This is a good 4-pack. And George King as the lock. And then on the bench, you got Frankie Holton, Ben Madiu, Dan Norman, and Brendan O'Hagan. Extended reserves, obviously Harry O'Kane, Harry Rushton, Michael Ward, James Hasson, James McDonald, Rob Mulhern, and Ronan Michael. So it's not a bad team. It really isn't. It's not a bad team at all. I think that maybe the likes of... So it's effectively Mitchell Moses and Luke Keary will equal each other out here. I think if we're talking about experience in the big level, you're probably looking at more like a Lebanon to be able to outdo the Irish here. Their backline is fine, but realistically, I'm looking at the front rowers here and the forwards of the Irish to get the job done in comparison to Lebanon, who don't really have a good forward line. They have a good backline, solid backline, but they don't really have a good forward line. With Ireland, their backline is going to be half decent, and also their forward line is actually very good. So I would nearly say that I could see Ireland getting second position because, like I said, Luke Keary and Mitchell Moses effectively equal each other out. Very good player, half, one at the Roosters, one at the Parramatta Squeals. Luke Keary hasn't exactly came back from his ACL that he did, but in the same sense, very, very knowledgeable half, and I'd love for him to be leading us around, which is what he's doing there for the Irish. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go there. Get my something email says, Jolliffe to carry at fullback. What? Arshad says, where can I watch Tonga versus France? Not here, brother. We're literally not doing that stream right now. Ali G says, fellas, how is everyone tonight? Mate, we're going. We're right in the thick of Rugby League World Cup action right now. We are in the thick of it. Slapper says, I'd like to see Ireland have a really good crack. I would love to see Ireland get second. I really would. I would love to see Ireland get second. Overall, they've got a decent team here that really can rival Lebanon, and it would be so exciting to see a team that isn't just a pretty obvious shout get through, because we've gone through Pool A, Group A, which obviously if you want to go watch it, you can. I've got England and who are the two teams there that we had? I had England and Samoa obviously gone through there. Group B, I have Australia and Fiji. Crazy ridiculous how a lot of people are coming out and saying Fiji are out of it now when they had all those players out, plus also it was a warm-up, and plus also it was against England, not Italy or Scotland, which is super different. So you can clearly see that Australia, Fiji get through this one, England, Samoa get through that one. So I think it would be a shock if Ireland got over Lebanon, because I don't think people really recognise that the talent they have is actually quite solid, in my personal opinion. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting, and I think most people expect Lebanon straight up. Zenpai says, guys, you know what's really smart? Having the games in the country while 70% of the target audience is asleep. Okay, again, Zenpai, the world is not based around Australia, right? So England play Rugby League too, and their target audience is, people up there. When people are watching the Rugby League World Cup in Australia, the English are now disadvantaged. The Americans are disadvantaged. They're not there this time around, actually. Ireland, France, they're all disadvantaged. It's not all about you, man. It's not all about you guys, right? So It's not actually the 70% of people are asleep. If you care about Rugby League World Cup, you care about the internationals, you'll be out watching it with us. But yeah, it's just, I've seen this comment before. I don't know if it was by you or somebody else, but it's a ridiculous statement to make from somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, to say that, oh, okay, well, it's bad having the game on at ridiculous times. It's normal times for England. Not everything's about Australia. Although the NRL is the peak viewing of it, we're not the only country that cares about rugby league. So yeah, to answer that question, or if it wasn't even a question, you're ridiculous. Senpai says, how good will Appy be at fullback though? Yeah, a bit of trolling tonight, but no, Appy will be really good in the hooker role for Fiji when he gets in there. And when he gets in there against, I think next week they straight up play Australia. A lot of these mid-range teams like Fiji, Lebanon and whatnot have a super tough game to start off with. Lebanon play New Zealand first and Fiji play Australia first. So yeah, really, really tough to read those for those two teams because they're going to get probably pumped in their first game and they're going to have to really win those last two games to really get themselves going there. But I think we move on to the next team now because I know we're going to speak a lot about New Zealand. New Zealand's going to be one that we speak quite in depth about. Jared Ford says, there'll be a weight test footy. Oh, mate, it's going to be good. Well, it's not test, it's World Cup, but in the same sense, mate, it's going to be an unreal tournament. And an absolutely unbelievable tournament there. Xavier says, where do you watch Tonga versus France? We're not on that stream just at the moment, brother. That will be a different stream. But in the same sense, that'll be on in about 8:20, 9:20, 10:20, about 3.5. 8:20, 9:20, 10:20. Yeah, about 3.5 hours. 3 hours and 20 minutes we'll be jumping on that live stream there. But yeah, let's move on with this one. And we'll get on to the Jamaicans here. So guys, obviously smack that thumbs up button. Just do it. Smack the thumbs up button. And subscribe if you're new around here. I honestly, at the current rate, I honestly think we might get to 20,000 before the end of the first week of Rugby League World Cup. It might even be halfway through the first week of Rugby League World Cup. So pretty crazy there, the amount of movement that we're starting to do. So yeah, get around it. But all right, let's move on now to the Vrons. Not Vrons. Yeah, exactly right, Jay. Yeah, when someone does that, just put the actual link to my stream. Zenpai says at least we get another stream soon. Yeah, in about 3 hours' time. Should be good. I was going to do the A-League today, but I just didn't get around to it. I'm going to watch some Premier League tonight after the games too. And then we'll see how we go. But, all right, so next team we've got is Jamaica. Guys, you need to understand with this one that there is not going to be any NRL talent in there. Dom Young was the only NRL talent that we would have seen potentially, and he's not there. And the reason he's not there is because England selected him, and he played incredible this morning. He was the man of the match for England. For me, England played really well. Fiji played really bad, but Dom Young was just simply incredible, man. So it's a great snag for the English. And it's just very unfortunate for Jamaica. But then again, Dom Young was never going to do anything for Jamaica. He doesn't have the inside ball. A wing is only as good as your centres. A wing is only as good as your halves. And the halves and the centres of the Jamaican team are not going to be getting the same kind of distribution and production as you're going to be seeing from the English halves and from their centres and whatnot, right? Jamaica, their first game would be against Ireland. So Ireland should have a good opportunity there to start off with a bang, which is good to see. But actually, I should have gotten the times for those. We'll get them afterwards. All right, so that's the predicted team there. I want to go and have a look now at the Jamaica Coronings. TW says the boxing's on too, $60. I saw that, man. That is a bit expensive, but it is Nikkei too, I guess. All right, so Jamaica. All right, good luck knowing these names, guys. A lot of them are pretty much just Super League players. I am going to start streaming Super League after this World Cup, FYI. But all right, because I want to know for the next World Cup, and I want to have... You guys know me. Well, I'm very passionate about sports. So I don't like not knowing. So because the World Cup's come around, and now I've looked at all these players, I'm like, I don't really know a great deal about these guys. I want to know now. So we're going to be streaming Super League content in the future. But Jamaica, Jordan Andrade, not signed. You got Mo Agoro from the Keighley Cougars, Siobhan Bailey from the Duhani Park Red Sharks, Joe Brown from Workington Town. You got Jaimel Coleman, who's not signed, Joel Farrell, that's not a good sign by the way, Joel Farrell from the Sheffield Eagles, Ashton Goulding from the Huddersfield Giants, Bradley Ho from the Keighley Cougars, Greg Johnson from Batley Bulldogs, Aaron Jones-Bishop from Cornwall. Now I've heard that name before, and Ben Jones-Bishop from the Sheffield Eagles. You got Michael Lawrence from the Huddersfield Tigers, Abivia McDonald from the London Scholars, Kamisi McCain from the Duaney Park Red Sharks, Jacob Ogden, name rings a bell, from the York City Knights, Ross Peltier from the Dewsbury Rams, Kieran Rush, heard that name before, from the Huddersfield Giants, Andrew Simpson from the Duaney Park Red Sharks, along with Marvin Thompson from the Duaney Park Red Sharks. You got Keenan Tomlinson from the Dewsbury Rams, Ronaldo Wade from the Duane Park Red Sharks. So a lot of Duane Park Red Sharks here. I feel like that might be a local Jamaican league, if I'm not mistaken. I don't. Oh, I probably am. I'm just guessing there. I'm just assuming. AJ Wallace from the Bradford Bulls, James Woodburn Hall from the Halifax Panthers, and then you got Alex Young from Workington Town. So yeah, it just is just. Surely Alex Young isn't the brother of Dom Young, is it? Jasper says Dom Young played one game, not at the Knights, and is man of the match. Yeah, exactly right, Jasper. This is what I keep saying about Callum Ponga. That's why I keep saying Callum Ponga can't really do what necessarily needs to be done. he doesn't really get what needs to be done there, but he can do it with Queensland. The point of the matter is that he's able to get that job done at a decent team. So let's go have a look here and see if it's got Best Jamaica 17 World Rugby League. Let's go have a look and see if this can do this here. Jamaica names 24-man squad for historic. Okay, here we go. The strongest possible lineup. Callum Watkins is also Jamaican, but he's not. He obviously was selected by England. So yeah, because I can see here it says Callum Watkins and Dom Young right there. So yeah, that's not happening though. Let's go maybe to the news section and see if it can give us something. 2 days ago, no format schedule. You got where's Jamaica? Broadcast of a Rugby League World Cup game. That's cool. Can you show us Jamaica, you Muppets? Give us something about Jamaica. Why can I not see anything about Jamaica? I don't know. I really don't understand why it's not giving us anything here. It will give us the 24 named squad. Maybe it gives us something, or we'll go to that strongest possible lineup and then kind of read through the lines in regards to where players may potentially play there. Unless it gives us something here. Alright, no. So it's not going to do. So we'll just have to take out Dom Young and also Callum Watkins. And then, like I said, read through the lines. So in the one, you got Ashton Golding. Ben Jones-Bishop is one of the wingers there. Unless his brother is in a forward, you're probably assuming he's there. So Ashton Golding here. Golding's made more than 100 appearances for Leeds and Huddersfield. The 25-year-old made his international debut for Jamaica in 2017 and has since won 5 caps for the nations. Okay, so he's a pretty decent player then. I wouldn't have too much against that then, playing over 100 appearances for Leeds and Huddersfield. Good teams there. Ben Jones-Bishop, 33-year-old, is a prolific try scorer, having scored more than 150 tries for Leeds, Harlequin, Salford and Wakefield. He's been playing his trade in the Championship for the last 2 seasons with York and Sheffield. He's scored 3 tries in 4 games for Jamaica since making his debut in 2018. So also, not a bad player there. Callum Watkins playing with England. Dom Young playing in England, also not a centre. Greg Johnson here. Johnson has been part of the Jamaican Rugby League setup for more than 10 years now, having made his debut in 2010. The Batley Bulldogs winger has made more than 150 career appearances. So that's really cool because this is their first time, right? This is their first opportunity at the World Cup. So obviously that means that he's really worked hard to get to this point. You got Jordan Turner. Turner made his debut for Jamaica in his testimonial match against the England Knights last autumn. The 33-year-old would add plenty of experience to the Jamaica side, having played more than 350 games for Salford, Hull, St Helens, Huddersfield and Castlewood. It's not a terrible team here. James Woodburn Hall, 27-year-old, is also not been part of the Jamaica setup for several years. The Halifax halfback is likely to line up in the halves for the Reggae Warriors this year's World Cup. Alright, so that doesn't really give me too much confidence in regards to that one specifically. Front rowers here. Peltier has been involved with the Reggae Warriors since 2011, winning 11 caps so far and helping Jamaica qualify for their first World Cup. Big Bopper, he looks like a big bopper up there. Lloyd White. White was named in Jamaica's training squad in the World Cup, which was supposed to take place last year. The Toulouse hooker has won 15 caps for Wales, the country of his birth. White has yet to play for Jamaica, but has pledged his allegiance to the nation because he wants to represent his father's side of the family. Cool. There you go. Michael Lawrence, Lewis Johnson back row, Levi Edwards back row, and then you've got Joel Farrell as the lock. Farrell has been part of the Jamaica setup since 2015. Winning 6 caps for the Reggae Warriors so far. The 28-year-old provides plenty of utility value for Jamaica. Farrell has made more than 150 appearances for the championship. Well, there you go. Go on, something that says who's Napa play for. We'll be talking about Napa tomorrow. There. He's got. I think who's he playing for? He's playing for. Geez, who is he playing for? Who is done that? Anyway, we'll talk about that one tomorrow there. But yeah, there we go. So that's the Jamaican team. Look, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine. I don't think there'll be anything special. They more than likely will come fourth because I do have Ireland beat them in the first game, and I've probably got Lebanon beat them in the second game as well. So yeah, it's going to be really tough to see them actually win a game, but I'm really going to be hoping that they get a win. It'll be such a good vibe, man. It really will. It'll be such a good vibe for Jamaica to get the W in any game. I don't really care who it's against, but it's definitely not going to be against New Zealand. Against New Zealand, they're really going to have to limit it to less than 80, right? I think their game is actually last against New Zealand, so maybe New Zealand completely rest their players, considering the fact that obviously they'll have a big game the week after against the second place of Pool B, which will be probably Fiji. So and Fiji are not easy beats. I just want that out of there. So yeah, I just want to quickly see what the schedule's looking like here. Let's go down here. All right, so England, Samoa, Australia, Fiji, Scotland, Italy. Okay, Jamaica versus Ireland is the game before New Zealand and Lebanon. Jamaica versus Ireland is the game before New Zealand and Lebanon. So that'll be on next Monday for us here in Australia, as in Queensland, Muppet, South Wales, and also New Zealand. But obviously for you guys in England, it'll be 5 p.m. On the Sunday. And New Zealand, Lebanon will be on 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. So that's a horrible time here for you. It's like 7:30 a.m. maybe in Fiji or New Zealand, but like 5:30 in the morning Queensland time, 6:30 Muppet time, or something like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting there. What do you guys have to say about Jamaica? Jared Ford's a Jamaican coach. That's a good question, actually. I don't know. A Jamaican coach. Maybe I'll have it here. Maybe I'll have it down here. Jamaican coach. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here's the strongest possible one. Okay, so coaches Monteith and Coleman. Not too sure. Not too sure there. Liziate Hala says, you think Tonga does well in this Rugby League World Cup? So Liziate, I'm going to be doing tomorrow night Pool D. I'm really actually most excited for Group D with Papua New Guinea and Tonga, Cook Islands, and there's another team that I can't think of right now. But it's actually quite an enjoyable group for me personally, to be honest with you, because I think Papua New Guinea are a really, really strong team this time around. I don't think they're going to win anything. I think they get through the group stages, but honestly, Tonga and Papua New Guinea are kind of evenly matched, and I know it's crazy to say, but it's fine. Well, anyway, we'll talk about tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, same time, 7 p.m. AEST, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Muppet time. We'll be doing, obviously, another one of these for Group D. Big Papa says, oh cool, what website is that? You're on Blaze liking the player profiles even for the minor teams. So this one here is Rugby League World Cup app itself, and then the website that I'm on here for this lineup is loverugbyleague.com. That's gone through all these, which has been, yeah, it's really been helpful. But I think we do move on from Jamaica now, and I think we go to the big team in this group, which is going to be New Zealand. I think we've spoken as much as we can about Jamaica. We've actually been going for a decent amount of time on those three teams, which is the lesser known teams, but now we get to the big bopper team in New Zealand. So guys, as you guys know, obviously smack that thumbs up button. The more thumbs up, the more I know you are enjoying this content, and obviously subscribe if you are new around here, and do not forget, we will be streaming in 2.5 hours time for Tonga versus France here on the channel. So get around it. Going to be a big stream. There. But all right, so for New Zealand, you've got Nelson Asafa Solomona here from the Melbourne Storm, Jesse Bromwich from the Melbourne Storm, Kenny Bromwich from the Melbourne Storm. A lot of Storm boys here. Already. We've got Dylan Brown from the Parramatta Squeals, James Fisher-Harris from the Penny Panthers, Kieran Foran from the Gold Coast Titans. Don't lie. That's incorrect. He's from the Gold Coast Titans, baby, and I know that because the Gold Coast Titans have been including him as their international player, and Manly have not. So settle down, Mr. SportingNews.com. You don't know what you're talking about. Gold Coast Titans. Peter Hiku is from the Cowboys. You got Jerome Hughes from the Melbourne Storm, Sebastian Chris Kemba Raiders, Moses Leota from the Penrith Panthers, Isaac Liu from the Gold Coast Titans, Joey Manu from the Sydney Roosters, Jerry Marshall King from the Bulldogs. Interesting there. Ronaldo Mulatalo was the Cronulla Sharks. Chance Nickel-Clockstar from the Raiders, but he's actually the Warriors now. Britton Nakora from the Cronulla Sharks. Marata Niakore from the Parramatta Squeals. You got Isaiah Papali'i from the Parramatta Eels. Jordan Rapana from the Canberra Raiders. Brandon Smith from the Melbourne Storm. Scotty Sorensen from the Penny Panthers. Joey Tarpanay from the Raiders. He's in some unreal form. Warrior Hargraves from Sydney Roosters. And then Dallin Watene-Zelezniak from the Warriors. That is a very, very... Before we actually go and get the predicted lineup, I'm going to try and give you my predicted lineup here first. But that is a very strong lineup. And I saw a question here. That said, how does it stack up against the 2008 side? I cannot really remember a great deal of that 2008 side, but let's go and actually try and see. Let's go and see if I can get that 2008 side up so I can compare. Let's do that. All right, so 2008 New Zealand... 2008 New Zealand Rugby League team. Here we go. So if you guys don't know, New Zealand obviously won the World Cup in 2008. I know, I was there. It sucked. It very much sucked. I don't like it. 2008 Rugby League World Cup squad. Here we go. Liziate is a solid team. This is definitely a solid team. Jared Choice of the Kiwis are stacked. I believe this is the best. This is the best team they've had in a long time. I think it's the best team they might have ever had. Sorry, they've given me a list here that's not. It's just not it. Like they've got. This is what it's saying here. It's saying that. Hold on, let me just make sure you can see. It's saying that Benji Marshall played in the fullback. I don't think he played in the fullback. There, champion. Let's go back here and have a look. New Zealand, Australia, Super World Cup glory. Settle down, mate. Settle down. Let's go back over here to this one. Jared Force, I googled Monteith. I don't know what's going on there. TW says, remember that Slater? Yeah, I remember. Oh, every Australian who was alive then remembers the Slater mess up. Don't you worry. All right, can you give us the team lineup here? Give us the team lineup. Okay, here we go. So you can see it here. This is the team lineup here. So they had Lance Hohire as the fullback. Now, if you're comparing Lance Hohire to the fullback here for New Zealand, you're probably looking at Joey Manu as the fullback here for the New Zealand. I keep going to say New Zealand Warriors, the Kiwis. Joey Manu will be the fullback. He obviously ran for about 400 metres against Tonga in their mid-season test there. That was fantastic for him. So I'm going to... That's a hard one because Lance Hohire was a good player, but I genuinely would give it to Joey Manu. I love what he does, and I think he's a fantastic player. Sammy Perrott and Manu Vatuvai, the big fella Manu Vatuvai there on the wings. Sam Perrott was okay. Manu Vatuvai, one of the best wingers of all time for the Warriors, if not the best winger of all time for the Warriors, and a really good winger in general. You got the wings here for New Zealand. So you've got, he could be centre, if anything. Sebastian Crispy centre, if anything. Who are their wingers, actually? Ronaldo Mulatalo, he's a winger there. Mulatalo would be one of them. And Jordan Rapana, the other one, maybe. So I think maybe Mulatalo and Rapana. Do you guys have anything against what that is? Do you guys have anything against that? Maybe Mulatalo and Jordan Rapana. Or you go back here to the New Zealand team and you look at Sam Perrott, Manu Vatuvai. I probably do lean again with them now. I love Mulatalo, man, and I think if Jordan Rapana's got some serious experience, he's got a great deal of experience there, and I believe that, yeah, I'd probably lean with, again, Manu Vatuvai is, yes, Sam Perrott was solid. Sam Perrott was solid and safe, Brighton Robinson, but I think that Rapana has that X factor, and so does Mulatalo. We see Mulatalo all the time killing it for the Sharkies. You see Rapana being that main guy for the Raiders too. They're a really good dual threat there. Really good dual threat. So I'll probably lean with the team again here in 2022. So that's already 2-0 to the Kiwis in 2022 over 2008. You go now to Christian and Inu and Jerome Rapati in the centres. Rapati, very solid, but nothing too wild. Christian and Inu, up and down 50-50, but had his good games. In the centres here, you'd be looking at, so what do you have? You have potentially Peter Hiku, Sebastian Chris. Who else is here that could potentially go into there? This might be a bit weaker. Yeah, your centres aren't great. Yeah. Okay, so New Zealand definitely win on that battle for the 2008, and that's not even fantastic, but I'd take Christian Inu and Jerome Party over Peter Hiku and Sebastian Chris. Is that actually just... Oh, Chance to do a clock star's a good shout too, Jasper, actually. Niokore is headed for New Zealand, Liziate says. Oh, Niokore. Brian Robinson says Inu was a bit overrated. A little bit, yeah. Well, I know that I know they're going to put... I believe they'll put Sebastian Chris, but Nickel Clockstar, Niokore as shouts. I don't know if Niokore gets it, though, for me. I definitely would say Nickel Clockstar, though. So we'll put him into the centres. I still overall think that I'm going to give this to the 2008 Jerome Party and Kristen Ninu, but the same sense, it's just not great in regards to centres. The fullback is going to be where Joey Manu sits. Get my eyes on my mouth. It'll be the fullback there. Mate, Peter Hick was a good player though, man. He had a good season for the Cowboys this year. It was not the greatest though. Val Holmes was the man there for the centres, realistically. And their wingers were very good in Kyle Felt and Murray Talangi. It wasn't really the Peter Hickey show, but Peter Hickey was still quite solid this year. He was still quite solid. Jasper says, it's a good balance of old and young. Big Papa says, crazy what happened to Manu Vatuvai. Yeah, not going to read the rest of that comment, but I know what you're talking about. I do, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But, bless up to the big fella. I know about the situation. It sucks to see, especially as a rugby league fan from back then, especially for you guys over there in New Zealand. Bless up. But Dallin Martinez is the next one we also forgot for the wing, but he's not going to be getting on the wing instead of Rapana or Montalo, mind you. Anyway, point of the matter is, The centres are a bit average. That's your biggest issue here for this Kiwis team, potentially. Lachlan Pilkington says, let's be honest, who else could be selected above Petahiku? Well, that's what I'm saying. So, it's hard. That people are saying Marata Niokore from the Eels. I don't know if they play him there. I honestly think that I personally believe that you play Sebastian Chris. I like Chris, man. I think Sebastian Chris at the Canberra Raiders is a solid player. I think if I was selecting the team, I would be going Nickel Clockstar and Sebastian Chris. I think that his defense is fine, and I think his attack is really solid too. I'd be personally going Sebastian Chris, but I don't think he goes them. I reckon they go Petahiku. I reckon they do. I reckon they go Petahiku. But anyway, point matter is, I'm going to go with the New Zealand 2008 side for the centres. So it's 2-1 right now in regards to the 2022 side. Chris offers more in attack. Yeah, K-R-I-S is his first name, by the way, Brighton. I agree. Yeah, I agree. All right, so the centres I've given to Inu and Rapati. You go to Benji Marshall and Thomas Leilui in the 6 and the 7. How did Leilui win that? But I'm already going to give this to the 2022 side because it's going to have Dylan Brown here from the Parramatta Eels. What an absolutely outstanding season he had besides the big games. So be careful about that one, Kiwis. You've got to be really careful with that. And then you've also got Jerome Hughes here. Maybe Kieran Foran. Kizza. He might play 14. Oh, that's an interesting one. Because I don't think Kieran Foran does play, but in the same sense, like he's got the experience, and I know they love him there in New Zealand. But I think Jerome Hughes definitely has that 7 locked down. And Dylan Brown, how do you go past him? But Kieran Foran, geez, that's good depth to have. You'd probably have him as your 14, to be honest with you, unless you guys can think of a better 14 there. Hughes or Foran, holy shit. I know it's hard, Brighton. It is hard. That's actually really difficult because do you want the experience? Kieran Foran would normally play as the 5'8", though, to Cherry Evans, so you could think about not Dylan Brown, but you can't not play Dylan Brown. You just couldn't not play Dylan Brown right now. He's in too good of a form with Parramatta. You just could not do it. I agree, Big Papa Murata is not a centre. He can fill in there, but wouldn't pick him there. Absolutely, especially in regards to a World Cup as well. But it's really good because you have a relatively easier group comparatively to other teams, so it gives you a bit of time to actually test it out. If you put Sebastian Chris there in the first game, he'll be okay. If he doesn't do too well, you can you go to somebody else in the next game. It'll be okay. You'll still win. And then if it doesn't work out with Petahiku, then you can go and throw in Marata Niokore if you really want to. Especially with the fact that your first game is against the Lebanese. I think that you'll go with your strongest one there, but if it doesn't work out against them, you can do anybody else for the other following up games. That experience you'd think is worth its weight. Let me know in your chat. I want to see you guys comment in the chat right now. If you want to obviously get involved in the chat, guys, all you have to be is subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. Refresh it. Who would you select 2 out of here? You have to select a halfback and a 5'8". Are you selecting Kieran Foran? Very experienced. Manly Seagulls. Won a premiership. Was he in the team back then? He wouldn't have been in the team back then. No, he wasn't. But who would you select here? Jerome Hughes, you got Kieran Foran, and you've got Dylan Brown. I don't think you can not select Dylan Brown. Big Papa says, I look into the future, Brown and Hughes will be my pick. Yeah. Brian Robinson, I don't know, man, what's Foran like as a 14 coming on. I think maybe you probably put him in the 14 because I can't see anybody else really being the 14 here, specifically. Anyway, point of matter is, we're going to go with the halves here of this 2022 team. So it's got 3 and 1. Yeah, 3 and 1 right now. Yes, Charles, I will be streaming the Tonga game. That's not in this stream, that's in the other stream, though. They'll be in about 3 hours' time or so. Judge is Brown Hughes. Yeah, so we'll go Brown Hughes, but I think Kieran Foran has to be involved somehow. I think that you have to involve him somehow. All right, so you go to the front rowers now. Now, this is where obviously you look towards with the Kiwis. Nathan Kalis and Adam Blair. Very, very solid front rowers back then. Then look at all these forwards. You've got Asafa Solomona, Jesse Bromwich, Fisher Harris. Oh, geez, this is a good forward pack here. Moses Leota. Look at the depth this team's going to have. Isaac Liu didn't have a great season for the Titans this year. Who else? Isaiah Pup. No, he's back row. Joe Tarpanay. Bro, this depth of the front rowers is wild. This Warrior Hargraves. Bro, this front row is actually outstanding. This front row is ridiculous. Nelson won't start. He'll come off the bench if anything. Could play a lot, but he's not gonna. Jesse Bromwich, I don't think he's going to get in here. I don't think he does. You got James Fisher-Harris, who will be a walk-on start. Fisher-Harris 100% gets it, and I'll go with Joe Tarpanay as well. But that is a ridiculous forward pack, and then you're going to have, a guy like Jesse on the bench. No, you wouldn't have Jesse on the bench. It'd be a bit of a waste there. Moses Leota has to be on the bench for me. You can't not play Moses Leota. He is such an incredible front rower there. He would be my front row bench spot there. I think, for me, but Warrior Hargraves, I think he's gotten a little bit too agey now. I think they've brought him there for depth. I don't think Warrior Hargraves will get in, but geez, that's a fantastic front row depth there. Charles Heller says, are you streaming the actual game or just a team review? I react to the game live. Big Papa says, Foreign's first game for the Kiwis was 09, 1 year after the 08 World Cup. There you go. That's right, because he won was it the Tri-Nations maybe? What was it, what was the old tournament called? Four Nations, maybe. Was it Four Nations? I can't remember. Ryan says Tarpanay. Tarpanay definitely gets it. He's been incredible this year. Liziate Hardler says Harrison Tarpanay. Brighton Robinson says, holy shit, this 2022 team keeps getting more stacked. Oh, man, it's scary. Honestly, this New Zealand team could win it. There will be a video that comes out Monday that'll have my actual preview for the entire World Cup and where I've got each team laying out. This is just the individual groups that we're doing right now. Harris, Tarpanay, Nas, and Leota. Wild. And also, the New Zealand team just gets better, really. Yeah, the more you go down, and we haven't even got to the back rows yet, and I can tell you right now, we haven't even done the hooker. The hooker's actually a bit of a dodgy one. Big Papa says, Kiwis have a monster 4-pack, true definition of meat eaters. So yeah, I agree, Jack Sullivan, Aussie probably will, but in the same sense, my God, this semi-final, because Australia more than likely will play New Zealand in the semi-final, that will be a romper-stomper semi-final, man. It'll be on like 7:30 in the morning as well. Good time for most people. But yeah, I give the front rowers absolutely to this year's one. Again, that's 4-1 already. The hooker then was Nathan Feen. Nathan Feen was a solid player, but nothing too crazy. The hooker here, you're probably looking at Brandon Smith, but let's go have a look if there's any other depth options here. You're not going to play 4 in there, but he could play there, but you wouldn't. Who else is the backup hooker? So they don't actually have a backup hooker. They've only got Brandon Smith here from the Melbourne Storm, who's obviously Sydney Roosters now. I think Brand Smith's a tad overrated. I'm not going to lie to you. I do. I think Brand Smith's a tad overrated. You could have used him in the lock, but obviously there is no other hooker here to really use. So you've really gone very specific on who you want there. I don't think Brand Smith's had a good year at all. I'm very... Yeah, it wasn't Luke. Luke was on the bench, Brighton. Isaac Luke was on the number 14 here. Yeah, he was number 14. I find... Oh, Marshall King. Yeah, Marshall King's a depth option there. But in the same sense, Marshall King's a little bit how you going as well. I think this is another one of their weaker positions. Yes, I know the name of Brand Smith. I get that. Like you guys know, I watch every single game. But I think that overall, that there is a little bit of interesting questions about this hooker pairing. Because Marshall King is literally only going to be depth. And Brand Smith is a little bit too much about himself, in my opinion. I think he's more about himself than the team. I think we saw that this year, the way that he's treated, what happened with the Dolphins and what's happened everywhere, what happened with the Storm, Roosters. I just don't think that his mind has been fully in this year. So maybe he uses this as a bounce back, but this year has not been a good year for Brandon Smith. So I think that overall, I personally probably go Nathan Feen. I'd go Nathan Feen, especially from the fact that he was able to play in more positions as well. So I'm going to go Nathan Feen in regards to that. So I think that's 4-2 or 5-2. Fact of the matter is, we all know 2022 the team's going to win. All right, back row here, Simon Mannering, what a player. And Sete Mata Sa, I'm not too sure a great deal about Sete Mata Sa, but Simon Mannering, one of the best back rowers of all time. Now, back rower depth here. You've got you got Kenny Bromwich. You've got, who else is here? Britton Nakora, who's had a great year for the Sharkies. Murata Niokore, he won't get it. Zai Papali'i, one of the best players in the game right now. Going to the Tigers, wants to go to the Warriors though. Scotty Sorensen, he won't probably get it, but he might be a bench back rower. And that's about it. So, by the way, I've got Fisher, Harris and Tarpanay as my front rowers, FYI. The back row there, I'd probably be leaning with Isaiah Papali'i straight up. No chance there. I'd actually probably say Papali'i and... Yeah, Mannering is finally close. Yeah, Liziate, I know. He's incredible. But Isaiah Papali'i back row. I think Scotty Sorensen could get a shout off the bench, but this team's so stacked that he might not. Because mostly it has to be on that bench for that front row. I think they're going to go Kenny Brom. I think they will go Kenny Brom, and I think they'll go Isaiah Papali'i and maybe Nakor off the bench. Or they might put Kenny on the bench and they'll have Britain Nakora and Isaiah Papali'i on the bench there. Maybe. Crazy New Zealand says, the cheese has been up himself this year. Not good to see. Yeah, absolutely. You know what we're going to do here? Four Nations. Thanks, Jared Ford. You're a little bit behind, but thank you. Yeah. I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying you're a little bit behind, but thank you. New Zealand. Okay, let's see what they have to say here. Rugby League World Cup S7. Why are you giving us Australia's? We know Australia's, mate. We know Australia's. Samoa, New Zealand World Cup squad. Okay, here we go. Notch League says, New Zealand have an unbelievable four-pack. I can't wait when the Kangaroos and Kiwis clash. Hopefully, but it should happen. It really should. I want to see what their predicted lineup is. I want to see what their... okay, well, screw you, man. Like, screw you, man. I don't want to make sense. So, but who have you got in the back row? All those names above plus backs. Okay, is this a bit really easy? Yeah, so that's right. Kenny Bromwich and Isaiah Papali'i. So I was right there. Kenny Bromwich and Isaiah Papali'i, and then you might have Nakora on the bench if you want him, but I don't know if it's going to be fixed. Charlie Collins says, not international related, but Reid is the most overrated hooker. Reid Marnie? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but the same says he's still pretty good. Now, the lock position. So, the back row position, I think Simon Mannering is clearly the best player of the back row there for the 2008, but I think that overall this back row this year would outdo that back row, but Simon Mannering was incredible. Actually, you know what? I'd probably go their back row there. No, I would go Simon Mannering instead of Mike at the start. Simon Mannering is one of the best players of all time. Just want to throw that out there, especially for New Zealand. So I'm going to give that one to the old team 2008. And then Jeremy Smith was the 13. Very, very solid player there. Now, the 13, you could use Nelson. I don't think they will, though. You'll probably be looking at Isaac Liu does play a bit of lock. He does play the lock there. Honestly, they could be using Isaac Liu, but I don't. Because how he's overrated, I disagree, Lachlan. I don't know. Who would be their lock? Who would be the lock here? Who have they got here as their lock? Because I don't think that... Oh, maybe Warrior Hargreaves is suspended at the start. Who would be their lock? Who would be the lock? Now, we're going to get to the utility in a second, Nosh Luke. Crazy New Zealand, Simon Mannering deserves so much more success at the go. It was very good. Who would be the lock here? Tarpanay. Oh, you wouldn't put him in the front row? You could put him in... Obviously, there is that position. Okay, you know what? Fair enough, actually. Because if you do that and you put Tarpanay into the lock and not at the front row, then you could probably put in the front row... Who would you... Moses Leota, maybe. Instead of Tarpanay and Fisher Harris in the front row, you go Fisher Harris and Moses Leota, the two Penrith big boppers. And then, because I really want to find a way to get Moses Leota in. And then you'd have... Yeah, that's a good shout there. Tarpanay into the lock there. Charlie Collins says Isaac Liu lock. I disagree, man, and I'm a Titans fan. I love Isaac Liu, but I just don't think he's been good for us this year. I don't think he's going to work out at the Titans, and I don't know if New Zealand should pick him personally. Riley Kappa said Bromwich, Leota, Nelson, Warrior Hargreaves and front rowers. Well, you've forgotten Fisher Harris. And Jesse Brom's not going to get the spot. It'll be Fisher Harris and Leota for me. But I understand if they go Nelson or they will go Warrior Hargreaves. But Warrior Hargreaves is suspended for the first game. I don't think Jesse Brom gets in over Leota, Nelson, or James Fisher Harris. And I think Fisher Harris and Leota will get that with Tarpanay going to the lock. Can afford to put Tarpanay at 13. Depth at prop is crazy. Absolutely. Absolutely. James Fisher Harris? Oh, sorry. I thought I said James Fisher Harris 13. I was like, Fisher Harris is not a 13 at all. He's definitely just a front rower. It's just like a Tino kind of player. But yeah, Tarpanay 13, Fisher Harris, Leota 8 and 10. Crazy Silence says Leota, Fisher Harris, Torpedo runs in the finals unreal. Exactly right. Noel Schluck says Martin fullback, no argument here. There, I think we've already spoken about the fullback area. But now the bench. The bench is going to be the tough one here. So, who's their 14? You've got the option of using Kieran Foran as a 14. You've also got the option of using maybe Jerry Marshall King if you want to go with that duo hooker tandem, which is what Australia will do. Ben Hunt, Harry Grant. Queensland did it, obviously. New South Wales tried to do it, but they failed because they're Muppets. Who else would you look at? Maybe you could look at him right on your core, but I don't think so. And if realistically, you could think about Brand Smith. Also, lock-wise, you could have used him, but he's not going to play this as the lock, obviously. If I'm doing the bench, I probably have Kizza in the 14, so that if you need someone to come and settle it down with experience, you bring him on. I think you've got to have... I think personally, you'd be looking at It's one or the other. It's either Britton Nakora or Scott Sorensen. You can't have them both. You can't have them both. You can't have them both there. Yeah, out of Foran or JMK, I'd go Kizza, Xavier. I'd go to Kizza. And it's not just because I'm a Titans fan. Kizza is experienced. He's done it all before. He's won the Four Nations. He's a very good player and can easily come on if one of the halves isn't playing too well and they want to just solidify it. So I've got Foran as the 14. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. Charlie says he's doing streaming the Lebanon game. That's on at the exact same time, effectively, as the Tonga game. So no. I wish I could, though. But they're also, that's a pay. You have to pay to watch that one, mind you, as well. Brian Roberts says, what sort of impact would Foran have at the bench? Like, it's great if a half goes down, but other than that, I don't know. But what else are you trying to do? So if you don't have someone that's the whole point of a 14, right? A 14 is specifically so that if you want your fullback or your half or your hooker or another play goes down, he comes straight in, yeah? Kieran Foran could play hooker and he could play both parts of the halves. You don't want to play him in the hooker, but the fact of the matter is that he could technically play that role. I think that he's more diverse than a majority of the guys. Like, what else is going to be here? Nas, no. He's not 14. Who else isn't here? Peter Hiku, no. You've got Sebastian Chris, no. Liu, no. Marshall King, no. Britt Nakora, no. No. Marana Nakora, maybe. I think that realistically you're only looking at him. Yeah, I think Kieran Foran's the guy there. I really do. Brandon Smith complaining away at Lachlan, but I do believe it's a little bit overrated, my personal belief there. But anyway, let's get to the forwards now of the bench. So I definitely would have probably, when he's not suspended, Warrior Hargraves. But I'm leaning towards more Scotty Sorensen over Britt Nakora. I am. I'm leaning more towards Scotty Sorensen than Britt Nakora there. And then who's a front row? Who's another back rower? Another back rower that you could probably use. Maybe go up to the top here. You could maybe use Jesse. I don't think so. I think he's a waste off the bench. I really don't. I don't think he's an impact player. I don't think he's an impact player off the bench. I think you need to start him, if anything. So, Warrior Hargraves, you'll have Scotty Sorensen. And maybe you just do have Marana Nakora as well. No, not Marana Nakora. Sorry, Britt Nakora. Maybe Britt Nakora, Scotty Sorensen, and Warrior Hargraves is your 15, 16, 17. JB Conrad says, wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers and Eels players have the first group game off. Not against Lebanon. Not against Lebanon, no. I think definitely against Ireland/Jamaica. Definitely Jamaica. But let's go have a look here who their second and third games against. Don't forget, guys, obviously hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Shoot through any questions that you do have. And we are streaming in 2 hours' time or 3 hours' time, 2.5, for the Tonga versus France game. All right, let's go to the schedule here. So view full schedule. 406 Brown at 14 for his X Factor to open up the game. That's a shout, maybe. That's a shout. I'd still probably put Brown at 6, and I want the stability of Brown maybe a bit more. Stability in the sense of I don't want him moving around too much. We saw what that happened when he went to the centres and whatnot. He could play centre, I guess, as well. He could be 14. But no, I think that Kieran Foran's 14 because you can still utilise Dylan Brown as a utility even though he's in that 6 if push came to shove. So the first game, as I said, it will be New Zealand versus Lebanon there. And then New Zealand's second game will be against Jamaica. So they'll definitely rest guys against Jamaica. Absolutely. This will be a rest game here. And then the last game is obviously against the Irish, which could also be a bit of a rest game. It really could be. It also could be a bit of a rest game there. But we'll see how that one... We'll see how that does transpire there. And Nigel Felix says, by the way, you're streaming that Haney Campos fight, the only right? I am going to be doing that, yeah. I am going to be streaming that fight. I think it's next Sunday, isn't it? Jeez, it's going to get hectic during these World Cups, because don't forget, guys, two days after this World Cup finishes, the FIFA World Cup starts. 5-3 so far, Brighton says. Yeah, and look, what was the bench? The bench over here was... Oh, no, that's Samuel. Forget that. Forget that. We'll go here and then over to this one. Their bench was Isaac Luke, Greg Eastwood, Sam Rapira, and David Fart-Logo. I actually probably go that one. I do go the Interchange 2008. So it's very 50-50. I think I give the edge to the 2022 team, but it's actually relatively 50-50. But it does show that it's their best team, personally. It does show that 2022 is probably their best team. Xavier says 4 and 14, Scotty Sorensen 15, Nelson Solomona 16, and then Nakora 17. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's not too bad. Obviously, I believe that Warrior Hargraves gets the nod when Oh, maybe they do go Nelson. Actually, probably Nelson does get the nod, even when Rory Hargrave's back from injury. I don't know. It comes down to what they want. Nelson is... He's experienced, but he's not as experienced as Rory Hargraves, to be fair. And Rory Hargraves and Nelson are effectively the exact same player. So it just comes down to who you prefer between the two. Xavier Brown's making a huge, outrageous call for the World Cup. You'll see one tomorrow, sir. Noel Treluric says there's also a Cricket World Cup during the Rugby League World Cup. There is, yeah. Josh Gribbon says, do you think Manly make the 8 next year or not? I don't care about the Rugby League next year, brother. Just yet. We're going to get through this World Cup first. I hate doing previews before the year finishes. We'll stick around for another 5 or 10 minutes, guys, and then we'll jump off for about 2 hours before the Tonga game starts. Brighton Robbins says, in terms of controlling field position, they seem to be lacking the halves, but their attack will be hectic. So, for me, where New Zealand will win these games is going to be through the forwards. I think their back line is good, but it also has the ability to tank. There is the ability that Joey Manu could get locked down. And you know what? It's an outrageous call. Well, it's not really outrageous. It's kind of fair. But I think Australia will lock down Joey Manu. And I think that's really going to throw a bit of a shitter up New Zealand there. And I think they're going to really struggle to get past Australia when they lock down Joey Manu and prevent him from having that really explosive open game. I think Mulatalo as well is someone that can be so good, a 10 out of 10 winger, but can also be a 2 out of 10 winger and make a lot of mistakes there. Their halves are very hype halves. Dylan Brown and Jerome Hughes, they both need to have some real good energy. If they don't, then they're going to go to shit. And that's why you have Kieran Foran on the bench under 14, because you can bring him on, implement him, even if you want to put him on for somebody else so that he can come on, have a chat to the boys in the middle of a game and kind of get them back in the right space and then take him back off. You can do that. It's a thing coaches have been doing for a long time. But the fact that it kind of does waste a bit of a substitution, but at the same sense, 3 halves in the field, you can't really go too wrong with that. Rabbitohs did that with Benji Marshall last year when they had Adam Reynolds, Cody Walker and Benji Marshall. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Kieran does get used, but Kieran needs to be in the team, especially with such hype young forwards like that. Hype young halves like that, and a really kind of, like I said, the centres, very 50-50, and the centres, the weakest link here for New Zealand in my personal opinion. The wingers, they're solid, very good, and the fullback is very good, but also has that ability to tank personally. Big Papa says, oh wow, honestly thought there'd be a bigger gap between the League World Cup and FIFA. Love it from one tournament into the next tournament. Yeah, love it without the fact that I obviously will be nocturnal. But obviously this Rugby League World Cup was meant to be last year. Don't forget that. It was meant to be last year, but it got postponed due to COVID. Charlie Collins says, what time is the next stream? At 10:45pm AEST, Queensland time. 11:45pm AE Muppet time. And I think for you Kiwis, it's like 1:45 in the morning. Noel Felix says, I don't think Manu will be locked. I do. Charlie Collins says, Travis Manu can't wait. Manu to roll him. Disagree. Big Papa says, same for me. Excited to see what the Islander teams can do for Rugby League World Cup, but the unpredictability of FIFA World Cup is always something to look forward to as well. Absolutely. Zabbai says, the late night streams that remind me of when I just stayed up every night playing COD. Yeah, those days. Yeah, absolutely. But I think I'm going to jump off here for now, guys, because obviously we have done a solid enough preview here. We've been going for about an hour, and I will be back on in a couple of hours' time. So, firstly, obviously, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here. My predictions for this group, I'm going to obviously have New Zealand in first. I'll have Lebanon or Ireland in second. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with Ireland. I'm going to make a bit of a surprise packet there. I'm going to say Ireland second. I'm going to have the Irish come in second, Lebanon come third, and I'll say fourth, which is a surprise, mind you. Lebanon will be the heavy favourites there, which is a surprise, but I'm going to say number 2 is Ireland, number 3 is Lebanon, and number 4 is Jamaica. That's my thoughts. What do you guys think about that? Get my somebody Mouse's Manu gets locked against Penrith. Imagine against Australia. That's what I'm saying. There. No, I think only Australia can lock down Manu. The other teams won't be able to. Well, that's what I'm saying. And they had to go through Australia. B is meant to Lebanon second. Like I said, favourites makes sense. But I think that, and on substance, Ireland dark horse. Lachlan Pilgrim says, what about Scotland? Well, Scotland's not in this group, so we're not talking about Scotland. Forrest Member says, will we be showing NBA games again? Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll be doing it very soon. It's just not on this channel, on the BKRsport USA channel, man. On the other channel, Forrest. But yeah, just the Chicago Bulls starting up very soon. I'm not doing any of the preseason right now because of the World Cups that are on. But yeah, no, we absolutely will be doing that. And also, I completely agree with you. I reckon Ireland will be second. And then I think they get absolutely slapped by Australia in that quarterfinals though. In the quarterfinals, they get absolutely slapped by Australia. Noel Felix is 1 New Zealand, 2 Ireland, 3 Lebanon, 4 Jamaica. I'm glad that some people are also on my wavelength in regards to Ireland. But yeah, there you go. But anyway, guys, like I said, I appreciate you as usual. Obviously, tomorrow night, do not forget, tomorrow night we'll be going through... Actually, let's switch this over here so you can see it. Let's switch this over here so you can see it. Tomorrow night, we will be going through the last group, which is Pool D. And that's going to be Tonga, Papua New Guinea. I think Greece is involved there, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe Greece is involved and Cook Islands. I think so. No, sorry, Wales. We did Greece already. Wales, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, and Cook Islands. A really intriguing group. I've got a big call in regards to this group that if you've been watching my streams enough, you probably know what my call is. But we'll be doing Men's Group D tomorrow night, 7 p.m. AEST. So obviously check it out for yourself, what time it is in your time zone, especially if you're in Muppet Zone like New South Wales, then unfortunately it'll be at 8 p.m. But yeah, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe when you're around here, and I will see you guys in a couple of hours for Tonga versus the France. Not France again. It is France. Sorry, it is very much France. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. So.